Hi, my name's Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel, and this is the November tour video, and it's an exciting one to do because really August and September were pretty grim. October improved a little bit, but November, for a November, has been pretty nice. I've had a really nice holiday. I'm going on holiday next week. Jennie got married, and we picked a lot of the veg for her wedding feasts as well from the allotment, and so that was really nice. A lot of it came from her plot, which was it makes it extra special, I think, for her. Her knee, she fractured her knee, and so she couldn't do any work on the allotment. That's pretty much healing now. So yeah, lots of really nice positive things have happened in November, and it's been a good growing month as well. We've had a decent amount of sunlight, not too much rain. And yeah, so I just reviewed the videos from last year, and we're quite a way ahead in two kind of important areas. I think we've got more mature lettuce, which is fantastic because we're just entering the within a couple of weeks, basically lettuce is going to stop growing. So we need to be in a position where we've got everything that we need for all of from the middle of December to the middle of the beginning of February anyway. So that sort of 6-week period, we're pretty much eating what we've already got in the ground, no more growth. So we've got to have a lot of stuff nice and mature by then. And last year we had no end of problems with the brassicas and cabbage root fly, and we lost all the sprouts, and lots of the late planted kales, we lost those as well. And so we were really struggling. We just had a few curly green kales and quite a few colettes, and a few cabbages and a few little bits and pieces. But basically we're just like eking out a sort of existence over last winter. Well, this year, we intentionally planted a lot more kale earlier in the season, so it was really well established before the cabbage root fly. It was under nets, and by the time we took the nets off in July, those were big established plants. We also diversified, so we had a much bigger range of brassicas, and the sprouts have been fantastic this year, and you'll see all this in a minute anyway, so I won't go on too much. But basically, those two things we've done a lot of work on, and yeah, we've kind of optimised a bit, in terms of trying to make sure that we're just not growing stuff that we like the look of but isn't very productive. At the end of the day, we're growing to eat. We're self-sufficient. We need to grow enough to eat. We're trying to get all of our family in the local area self-sufficient as well. We're working hard on that. So whilst we're still doing a few experiments to see if we can kind of improve a few areas, we're settling down on the basic things that really contribute to our enjoyment of food and our nutrition, and just doing a lot less kind of flights of fancy really. And some of those flights of fancy obviously paid off and became part of our mainstream approach, and we'll continue to do a few of those because it's always nice to always be improving. But I've been growing now for 3 winters, and so I'm pretty au fait now with the things that really work and the techniques that really work in my environment. So with all that rambling over with, let's have a look around. So one of the things that I changed from last year is that I'm really trying to get more space to move around in the polytunnel. Last year I was kind of, every square inch of this polytunnel was kind of full of something. And a lot of those things didn't really pay off that well. So, this year, I just, it's nicer to have some space to move around without tripping over stuff. So let's just have a quick look. So I've got some Ford hook chard there. I'm not doing as much chard over winter as I did last year. Got so many other alternatives to chard this year. So yeah, that's going well. Got some nice sort of overwintered brassicas here, just a few spare kales down there, rocket, and then we've got the main indoor brassica bed, and again this is something that I've really consolidated on. just a handful of plants that I know do pretty well. And you'll notice that these are all small, and they're intentionally planted late because I've got stacks of brassicas outside. I want these brassicas all the way up until May, so I want good quality brassicas until May. And in May time I take all of this out and replant it with the summer crops. So that's the objective, is small plants that will stay healthy for a long period of time. Carrots, some of these carrots suffered a bit because they get some of these have got cutworm, and I've watered in some nematodes that kill cutworms, and so hopefully they'll survive and mature. But yeah, got a few carrots here, more carrots here, more carrots here that are coming up, and then these are the lettuces that kind of just add variety to the salad mixes. So they're not the mainstay lettuces. There's Roxy, Bijou and Freckles, and then these are my spares. Just where I've got gaps, I've got some that I can use to fill. These are little brassicas for overwintering, and all the details of what I've got here I'll do in my what am I sowing and growing video for November, so that'll just be in about a week's time. And then down here I've just done the harvest actually. This spinach, still doing okay, but the light levels under here are obviously very low at this time of year, so I'm not going to get a huge harvest off this spinach, but come February time, that's when this bed will really come into its own. And then this is the mainstay of our winter salad diet, and this is Grenoble red, so this is our favourite. We've got the most of this. And of course, anybody who's watched my videos before knows that my approach is to have a little bit of everything in the polytunnel, so that when it's really foul outside, I can still come and harvest in here. So I've got a few early beetroots here. So these are varieties of beetroots that overwinter. I've got some planted outside already. These are some more lettuces, so I've just transplanted 6 of each variety in here, again just to fill in the gaps where I lose them. More brassicas overwintering, more carrots. These are brassicas that need potting on, but these will be for overwintering as well. And then I just dug up these peppers and brought them inside so I could keep them frost free, and they're just about surviving. And then the last thing is the ocker. So I've got lots of ocker which I've just brought in, just to keep this going as long as possible, because right now it's building tubers, and obviously that's what I want it to do. And the longer you can keep it frost free before it dies back, the bigger and the more tubers you can get. I've got some more carrots here, some more carrots there. So that's pretty much it for the polytunnel. It's looking pretty good, I like it. So this is my incredibly ugly plot, all covered in plastic at the moment, and I really hate it at this time of year. It just looks so ugly, and I'm just so looking forward to April when I can take all these covers off. But I'm going to take the covers off now just to show you what's going on. So it all looks a little bit nicer from this direction. So we've got chard here, we've got carrots here, and these are only tiny little babies. I'm really not sure that planting this late is going to work, but that's when this bed came free in October, and so that's when it got planted. But anyway, it'll be a lesson learned if I don't manage to get them. And I've got some lettuces here and interplanted with spring onions. I've got some radish there. I just got a few cabbages here, but not much. That bed will be cleared soon. I've got some Grenoble red lettuces here, and then just down here we've got 6 spring cabbages interplanted with salad rocket and corn salad. And here I've got some more chard, which needs a bit of a tidy up. Got some spinach at that end. I've got some kohlrabi here, and I'm kind of unsure as to whether I'm actually going to get a crop off this, but some of it is actually starting to grow quite nicely, like this one, for example. So I suppose it's possible. But anyway, I had a spare space, and yeah, as I say, I'm still doing some experiments, but just not too many. And some more lovely lettuce. And then let's just zoom in there a little bit. We've got some red rhubarb, which is a lovely purple kale, and some radishes down there. And then I've got a lovely bed of spinach. And because it looks pretty grotty, doesn't it, at the moment when I say it's lovely. But, you know, a bed like this, it's nicely established, is going to be fantastic in February and March, and that's, you know, really what the objective here is. I know I'm not going to get a huge amount of spinach over winter. I've got the asparagus, which something's been digging in, so I've put these posts out here just to stop it. It's probably foxes. And then we've got onions. So this is pretty much the totality of my overwintered onions. So there's stir on here and a variety, tough ball, and I can't remember what the second one's called, but yeah, so not a huge amount. I don't really recommend doing too much in the way of overwintered onions, because you're just going to get main crop onions you know, within a few weeks. But putting them underneath this little hoop tunnel has given them a good start. So yeah, I'm hoping for a nice early crop there. Looking pretty good at the moment. Another one of my salad beds interplanted with spring onions. There's a good crop of spring onions there, and they're all pretty much ready now. So we eat about 2 bunches, maybe 4 bunches a week, Debbie and I. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 weeks worth of spring onions there, so that's not too bad. Some more lettuces. All these are not being harvested at the moment, they're just being left to grow on. And then there's just some really lovely little golden beetroots. Not big enough to go into store, but they're the ones that these are the ones that we're eating at the moment. We're leaving the stuff that's in store until the new year. And then we've got the radicchio. It really is lovely, and makes a really nice colourful addition to the salad mixes at this time of year. And then we've got some Novara, again lovely lettuce. Not fantastic in winter, but it's particularly good in early spring, so I really like that. And then we've got some more Grenoble red and some more spring onions in here. Spring onions all around the outside. And then we've got another really nice spinach bed here. And again, this is only for February, March and April. And then we've got some beets. And yeah, really, these are establishing quite nicely. So again, the intention here is just to get early beets. We've got stacks of beets in store, but we'll be finishing those around about the beginning of May, probably, based on last year's consumption rate. And so it's, you know, my objective is to have new beets towards the end of April. And then obviously the main crop beets I'll probably be sowing in the middle of February or something like that. Or the first batch of the main crop beets. And then these are the ever-bearing strawberries that you don't kind of cut back very much. They're huge, little tiny plants, and I put those in last year, and they've just grown massive. I've got field beans growing on in here. We're harvesting these every week, and they're growing really nicely. We've got more underneath this mesh here. These are doing even better under the mesh. Just provides a bit of protection from the wind. So this field bean bed will become the brassica bed next year. This is the brassica bed this year, and this is really just the early brassica bed, and it served its purpose. We got the really lovely brassicas in May time, but I did pop in these. These are like 1,000 head kale or something similar to that, and they're really nice now. And I've given them a really good trim back and removed all the sort of inedible leaves, and yeah, the quality of these is really excellent. So that's what I mean when I talk about diversifying the brassicas, and you'll see more of that when I get to Jennie's plot. And then we just had a bit of space opened up, so I popped some sprouts in here, and yeah, these are all right. I mean, they're not brilliant, as you can see. You know, the size is a bit laughable, but they're better than nothing, aren't they? I've just been clearing up my raspberries. So these are the autumn fruiters that have all been chopped up and put back on the bed, and these are the summer fruiters. And you can see I didn't pay very much attention to dealing with all of this bindweed last year, so I'll have to do a better job of that. And I've got last few carrots that I've got outdoors, and then down here some nice January king cabbages coming on really well, and then some more sprouts. Again, these are the summer planted ones, and I'm not so keen on the summer planted stuff. And you know, that one's not too bad, but you know, that one's not very impressive, is it? And then these are some Romanesco cauliflowers, and just a few more brassicas around here. But this is pretty much what seems to happen to my kales at this time of year. You know, there's not much left of these plants. So if you're kind of relying on curly kales, you know, you start to run out. So I think that's pretty much it for my plot. All the IBC tanks are full, all my other water tanks are full, not much watering now. So most of my compost bins are full, so yeah, pretty good. And in my mini greenhouse I've just got a few brassicas, so I've got some little sprouts here which we'll be eating May time probably, not the sprouts, the sprout leaves, and then spring cabbages and more spring cabbages. I've just got all my Christmas potatoes piled up there. We'll just take a quick walk round to Jennie's plot. I've just been doing a bit of work on there today. A lot of work on this plot to make it maximum productivity and minimum effort. And I'm kind of fond of saying that it often takes less time to keep this plot in good order than it takes to make the video about it. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it, the way it's gone. It's worked out well. We're leaving these apples, they're not eating quality, the skins are all pitted and horrible. We're leaving them for the birds, and the good thing about this is it tends to keep the birds off the brassicas because they like the apples more, and so we don't have to worry about netting the brassicas for a while. Sometimes these apples are really good, but this year they're not so great. So sprouts on this plot, I've been very pleased with them. We've got some red ones, lots of different types. Some of them have fallen over, but it doesn't seem to bother them very much. So I'm pretty pleased with the quality of them. Obviously some of these we've been eating, but yeah, they're good. Very pleased with them. And then these are some more of the kales that I was talking about. And again, I've given these a really good clear up. And these are going to burst to life in spring, so I'm particularly excited for that period of time. But even now, these are lovely tender leaves. So these are the purple sprouting broccoli here. We've got 2 rows of these. Now these actually haven't done as well as purple sprouting broccoli that we've planted in the past. The plants are a bit smaller and a bit more kind of weedy. Anyway, they've still got plenty of time. We're not going to eat those until April time probably. And we popped in these cabbages in summer, and they're starting to heart up, but they're not brilliant. And there's a few more January Kings in there. And then these are cauliflowers. And this is really the strawberry bed, but we also going to plant shallots in here, and I'm a bit late planting the shallots. I've been kind of waiting for Jennie to get well enough to plant them, but in the end I might have to do it. But we've just finished harvesting the carrots that we had in here. So last year it was garlic in here, and then carrots after the garlic, and then shallots after the carrots. So, and then just strawberries down the edge, and some more of these massive kales, and this one's broken its support, so I need to get that sorted out. And then this side is colettes, so we've been eating lots of these, but I really love the colettes. I like them more than sprouts, but then I love sprout tops more than I like colette tops. And although I have just taken the colette tops off here, because this was a particularly nice one, and yeah, lots and lots of colettes on these, really lovely. And these are kind of my famous Calabrese, and I'm still taking Calabrese off these. Started harvesting these in May. We've had an incredible amount of side shoots off them, as well as the main heads. And obviously they're looking pretty grim now, but not too bad. Then more colettes everywhere you look down here. There's colettes, and then let's swing round. So this is next year's brassica bed, and we just harvested the squash off here and planted field beans. And we do eat the field beans. We eat the field bean tips. So not a lot of these are ready for eating yet, but that's the sort of size. I'll take that tip off there. So there's a lot in there. They grow really well all over winter, and so we get a nice harvest off here. Really good for smoothie greens, and there's a spinach alternative. That's why we're not that bothered about the spinach not being ready until February, March time, because we have the field beans and they're such a good substitute. And then no sign of life in this bed here. We only recently planted this one, and it's broad beans, 3 rows of broad beans down here, and 5 rows of garlic down here. And so I'm eagerly looking forward to seeing those spring to life. There again, these just planted late because of Jennie's broken knee. Anyway, it is what it is. We weren't planted too late, probably just a couple of weeks behind. And then one more carrot bed interplanted with the strawberries, and I'm not really sure this is such a good idea because the carrots kind of overwhelmed the strawberries a bit, so it'll be interesting to see how well the strawberries recover. I'm looking forward to getting all these out because they're massive. I was eating these last night though for my tea, and they're lovely. They might be huge looking and quite ugly, but the actual carrot, they're just as tender as smaller ones, so not so worried about that. January Kings, and then some more kales here. As I said, lots of different varieties, dazzling blue and Carvalho Nero and various curly kales and things. And then up there we've got a few of the squashes. So there we go. That's the overview of Jennie's plot. We'll just take a walk down to Debbie's plot. It's not a very long walk. Here's my plot, my bike. So So at Debbie's plot, and she's done a brilliant job of getting more planted over winter on her plot this year, and particularly because she's been just massively busy with the preparations for Jennie's wedding. So we've just finished harvesting these calabrese, and we're getting a few side shoots off, so we'll leave them in for a little bit. We've got some strawberries here, we've got some Romanesco cauliflower here, which is coming on nicely. I think we've got 6 plants there, so we'll be harvesting these pretty soon. There's quite a few coming actually, and there's herb beds, Chinese cabbage. We've never managed to grow a decent Chinese cabbage here. I don't know what it is. We grow all the other brassicas just fine, but Chinese cabbage are a waste of time basically. We're not going to do those again. And then these are purple sprouting broccoli, so again all looking pretty good. And then we've got radicchios, salad rocket with I'm not actually sure, I think there's some spring cabbages on the corners there, and obviously nothing happening in the fruit garden. All of this is fruit. And we've got some overwintered onions down here, they're looking good. And so there were a few on my plot, there's a few here, and that's it. They're all the overwintered onions we're doing. And then we've got some things. I think these are probably a cabbage, but I'm not sure. They might be Romanesco cauliflowers. Doesn't seem to be a label on those. And then here we've got some more perpetual kale, and some more perpetual kale down there, and just kind of a bit of a tangled mess of berries. And that, I think, is the overview of Debbie's plot. So there you go, 3 very different plots. Debbie's is very much an ornamental kitchen garden. Needs quite a lot of work because it is quite a complicated plot. Although it's got a lot of perennials in it, because of that you can't effectively mulch them all the time and you get a lot of weeds. Jennie's plot is really low maintenance. I think it probably takes about an hour a week probably to look after Jennie's plot, and it's massively productive, but then it's been designed that way. You know, it needs very little effort. Really the biggest effort is the planting and the harvesting. And then there's my plot, and my plot is very intensive, you know, all year round, quite a lot of work, probably about 10 hours, 12 hours a week, something like that. But then it is, you know, the lion's share of what we harvest comes off my plot. Yeah, so, and you know, for people who don't kind of understand, obviously, you know, this is, you know, I'm talking about my plot. Debbie is my wife, and Jennie is my middle daughter, and so we all chip in and help each other on the plots, and we all eat from the 3 plots. We don't really make much of a distinction in the way that we manage them between who's who. I do all of the sowing for all of them and all of the planning for all of them, but I really only do the work on my plot, and maybe just like half an hour a week or something on Jennie's plot, just help her out a bit. And it's the same for Debbie. You know, she does almost all the work on her plot, and she might do like 20 minutes or something a week on Jennie's plot, and then Jennie and John, they do all the planting on their plot, harvesting, and all the kind of heavy work, so all the sort of clearing of beds and mulching of beds and things like that. If I'm doing the harvesting there, I'll do a bit of weeding or something like that, just to help them out a bit. So that's kind of the way we're organised, and with that I'll let you get on with your lives, and I'll see you soon.